No, baby. I'll be back on here. I'll be on here all week. Yeah. I don't know. See if anybody else logged on yet. Nope. All right, you don't need to write these words down right now. Just, we're just going to look at them first, okay? So repeat the word after me. Aspire. Okay, so what do you think aspire means? By looking at this lady. What do you think, Gabby?
Like you're doing something that's good.
Christopher, why don't you put that chair down and sit in it? So if you aspire for something, it looks like let me look at the sentence. It says, I aspire to be an author one day. So aspire means to do something, have a strong hope to achieve it. Hey, Jameson. Aspire, that's our first one. All right, next one. Let me grab it. Confidence. What does confidence mean?
Like you have courage. You believe in yourself.
Believing in yourself, have courage. If you're confident, then you have a strong or sure feeling about yourself. You're confident in yourself. We're just going over these right now, Jameson. All right, next word. Oh, this is a good one. Endeavor. Endeavor.
Working on something.
What?
Working on something.
Working on something, yeah.
Like maybe you're building something.
Like you say, I've got my own endeavors I like to accomplish. So endeavor
And wait.
is to do something you try very hard to do it. Oh, come on. Stupid computer. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. My life is a technical difficulty. Okay, so an endeavor is you try very hard to do it. You endeavor. Finish a group project before it is due. Endeavor. All right, next word. Fearlessness. Fearlessness. Remember those have those suffixes on them. Less meaning not many. Ness meaning not many. So what does fearlessness mean?
You're not scared. You're not afraid to do stuff.
Right, you're not afraid to do something. Your fearlessness, that means you are not scared and feel brave. All right. Oh, elegant. Elegant. If you're elegant, you're fancy. Yeah, you're stylish and pleasant to look at. Elegant. All right, next word. Foreboding.
Foreboding.
Foreboding. What do you think it means, Gabby?
I'm guessing that it's like some type of weather kind of thing.
Maybe. Foreboding. It says if something is described as foreboding, it's suggested that something bad is going to happen. Foreboding. Foreboding. Next word, episode.
Oh,
Chris.
an episode is like something that's kind of scary, but basically,
Alright, so if I have like a sneezing episode, that means I can't stop sneezing and it comes on quickly. It says an episode is an event or period of time that is important in some way. Oh, here we go, another one. I can't hear you, bud. Scowled. Scowled. Scolded. Scowled. Means what? Angry. You frowned or had an angry look on your face. Next word, intimidated. What's your,
Intimidated.
if you're intimidated,
Yes.
alright, someone who's intimidated feels afraid of someone or something. Intimidated by the tiger.
I'm not scared of tigers.
Well, if you found one in the wild, I think you would think something else. Alright, next word, subdued. Subdued. That's a good one. Something that is subdued is quiet and low key. Very subdued. Jameson is very subdued right now. He's half asleep. Alright, next word. Disheveled. Oh, that's a good one. Disheveled. Disheveled. If I said something's disheveled, it's a hot mess. It's not neat or tidy. Your room is disheveled. Alright. Next word. Rigid. 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 It's not talking about like the ridges of a like a piece of paper. It's talking about something that is rigid, is stiff, and does not bend easily. That would be me. Rigid. Another one. Feisty. Feisty. What do you think it means, Christopher? Feisty means happy? Somebody's feisty. Feisty means bold, energetic, determined. And last one, salt. 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 Maybe sad. Says you're crabby because you were annoyed or disappointed about something. You sulked. Crabby about it. Let me get my book out. All right. You're getting loud. right. Thank you. Quiet, please. Thank you. Because if y'all are all talking, I cannot hear and I cannot teach.
So we have to raise our hand.
I mean, yeah. I can't really see everybody though, so that's the only issue. But that's what Miss O's in there for. She can flag me down if she needs to. All right, we're gonna look at text features and graphic features. I'm pretty sure we've already done this anchor chart. Yeah, we have. I just gotta find it. Hold on, I'm looking for an anchor chart. Y'all just hang out for a minute. I really should organize these.
Wait, we already did text features.
I know we did, but I'm trying to bring it up so I can. I'm looking at text features, graphic features, but I can't find it. Hey, Miss Redmond. Good morning. Let's see. There's figurative language. I should organize this. What in the world? Literacy elements. Screen. Object craft. Hey, Vivi. Text structure. Lines. Visualize. Plot. Did I put it in this other one? Identifying claim. Okay, that's in the other notebook. Hey. Elements of grammar. Idiom, adages. Okay, why can't I find it? Okay, we'll just look at this one. Alright. Me. Alright. So looking at the text features, remember text features are things like the headings, subheadings, the bolded words, the capital letters, the italicized letters, and then we have the graphic features, which are like the diagrams and the charts and tables, and then we have the captions on the pictures. These are all text features. They're different from the text structure because the structure is how the text is written and lined up. The text features are elements of the text. Christopher, can you have a seat, please? You're stressing me out. I don't mind if you sit in that desk right there. I just need you to sit down. Let's see. It says... So, we're going to read an informational text called Who's a Hero? We're going to think about how the author uses text and graphic features to help engage the reader. So let's turn to page 242. Miss Redmond, if I'm going too quick, let me know.
Alright. Is this the reading book?
Yes. All right, we're on page 242. Called Who's a Hero? All right, when everybody's there, give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Put your thumbs down. All right, so we're going to be looking at this informational text to tell about characteristics of heroes in real life. Can you name some features that you already see in these texts, some text features you already see in the text without even reading it? What do you see, Jody? All right, you see some pictures. All right. What else do you see, Gabby? You say what? Say it again. Okay. Yeah, there's different sections, so there's different subtext. Who's at my door? Gabby, turn around and look at the door. Who's at the door? Okay.
Mr. Hamilton.
Oh, okay. All right. What else do you see, Jody? All right, so those are different heroes. So we see some headings and some photos in here. What do you think? What do you think the purpose of this text is, Jody?
Heroes and to they will.
Okay. Okay. So let's read this text, starting on page 242. This is a short read. It says, who's a hero? Heroes come in many forms. Some heroes are fictional characters. They appear in books or movies. Others are real people. They're folks we see every day. But what exactly makes someone a hero? A hero is someone who shows courage. Many heroes show fearlessness through their brave deeds. In Greek mythology, the hero Hercules has to complete 12 impossible tasks, including killing the Nemean lion and defeating the terrifying Hydra, a monster with 9 heads. Hercules courageously completes all his tasks. Real-life superheroes are equally courageous. Firefighters don't hesitate to race into burning buildings to rescue people and pets. Airline pilots sometimes land planes in brutal weather. Being brave is part of the work. It is what they do. So that was just the first subheading, talking about here that shows courage. All right, so the next subheading, you should be following along in your book, please. A hero is someone who cares. Heroes endeavor to improve lives of others. Doctors and nurses strive every day to treat people suffering from injuries and illnesses. Volunteers step forward to help people, animals, or the environment. The greatest fictional heroes also care. Think about comic book heroes. They perform all sorts of dazzling feats, but it's why they do what they do that really matters. They're heroes because they use their superpowers to help others. What text features helps you focus on the important words? What text features help you focus on the important words? Go ahead, Jody.
For pictures.
What?
For pictures.
The pictures, okay. That could be one. The Gabby.
The subtitles.
The what?
The subheadings.
The subheadings that have the big, bold, larger text in them. Words that are in color kind of help it jump out at you, so you know that that's an important one to remember. Go ahead, Jody.
Underline. Underline.
The italicized?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that was what you were thinking. All right, let's turn over to page 243. Well, let's look at 243. It says a hero is someone who has confidence. An ancient Chinese legend tells of a young woman named Hua Mulan who bravely takes her father's place in the army, fighting bravely alongside warriors with much more experience. Her secret is her training. Mulan's father had drilled her in the martial arts, so she is sure of herself when she goes into battle. Confidence. Confidence is crucial for real-life heroes. 2. Police officers train carefully so they know how to react in dangerous situations. Hard work and preparation gives everyday people the confidence to respond heroically to challenges. A hero is someone who is determined. Many athletes are heroes because they inspire us with their hard work and determination. Sports heroes spend years sharpening their skills. They may fail more than they succeed, but they seldom give up. The same is true for many fictional heroes. In Charlotte's Web, Charlotte is one determined spider. She works valiantly to rescue Wilbur the pig from an unhappy fate. Against all odds, the gentle spider saves her friend's life. And then it says, now that you know what it takes to be a hero, why not aspire to be one yourself? You don't need to slay monsters or break records. Just find your own special way to be a hero and help make the world a better place. What graphic features help you to understand the text? Remember, the graphic features are like the pictures and diagrams. May have just given you the answer. Go ahead, Gabby.
When it was talking about like sports people, they put a baseball player.
So when they're talking about the determination of somebody that plays sports, they gave us a photo of a baseball player. In what ways do these graphic features help you better understand the text? Yep, so understand what they're trying to say, helps them understand the author's point that heroes are sometimes those who do things we don't think as heroic. So you wouldn't think that a baseball player could be heroic by being determined, but that is a characteristic of being heroic. What text features help you understand the central or main idea of the paragraph or paragraphs? You need to sit up. If you have your head down, you need to sit up, please. Go ahead, Jody. Yeah, but what text features? So remember when we talk about the text features, we're talking about the headings, subheadings, the italicized words, the bold words. What specific text features help you to understand the central or main ideas of the paragraphs? All right, so what are those called? The headings. Very good. All right, on to the next thing. What's that one? Maybe that was my computer. see. All right. Oh, I already introduced the vocabulary. All right. We're going to be looking at visualize. Remember, when we visualize something, we think about, hey, Ava, we think about our five senses. We think about what can we see. If I'm reading the story of Charlotte's Web and it's talking about a pig and a spider, I'm going to think of a barn with a pig and a spider in it. I'm going to think of the smell of the barn. It's probably not a very pleasant smell. I'm going to be thinking, what can I hear? I probably hear the cows that are out in the pasture. They're all making noises. I may feel the hay on the ground or the wood on the fence. How I visualize the text by reading it and visualizing it, by using all five senses. So if like the author starts talking about there being a cake or brownies coming out of the oven, I can smell chocolate brownies from the oven. Not literally, but you know, figuratively. All right, so we're going to turn over to page 244. And we're going to prepare to read another story. This is a fairy tale. Fairy tales are traditional tales that tell the story about magical characters and events. The authors of fairy tales tell stories through the plot. The main event of the story, the plot includes the conflict or problem and the resolution or how the problem is solved. The characters in fairy tales may include royalty. Fairy tales include a theme and a lesson learned. It says, think about it. It says, what you know about fairy tales. Think about what you know about fairy tales. What else would you like to learn about fairy tales? Write your ideas below. Go ahead and write your ideas below. All right, so if you look at the illustration to the right, where the title is, do you see any characters or whatever that would fit a fairy tale? So you have the prince, looks like maybe a princess, and a king. It looks like a servant. If you look right here, it looks like a butler. So those are, or they're dressed like royalty, most likely from a long time ago. What kind of characters do you think the king is by looking at his illustration right here? Go ahead. Jody, go ahead.
Skull.
What?
Skull.
Okay. All right. How else does he look? Maybe he looks a little suspicious. Maybe he looks confused or puzzled. His eyebrows are raised and he's looking at the prince like, interesting. What about the prince and Ella? How do they look?
The princess looks nudie. The princess looks
The,
really
prin-
snooty and like a little bit
the prince looks maybe happy
feisty.
and proud. What about Ella? She looks kind of bored or annoyed.
Like annoyed by it. Someone probably like
Yeah.
tired.
So we can probably predict from the title, since the title says Prince Charming misplaces his bride, who do you think the bride maybe is?
Ella.
Maybe Ella. And maybe he misplaces her. I don't know. Let's see. All right, turn to page 246, please. Following along as I read.
Miss Piper,
Yes, ma'am.
can you read a little slower?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's hard when I can't see your hands myself. The struggle is real. All right. In the fictional nation of Harmonia, there lives a charming prince named Frederick, who has craved a life of adventure ever since he was a boy and met a visiting knight. Frederick's father, King Wilberforce, shields his son from any activity that might cause his son harm. Prince Frederick is not allowed to wrestle, do martial arts, or explore caves. One day, the king comes up with a plan to make Frederick forget his thirst for all things exciting. He arranges for Frederick to train a tiger. The tiger is toothless and already trained, but Frederick doesn't know that. Nevertheless, the prince attempts at taming the wild beast goes very, very wrong. The king thinks his plan has worked, and it does for a while. Where did the story take place? Okay, in a castle, but specifically, where does it take place? In the nation of Harmonia. What causes the Prince Frederick to crave a life of adventure? When he was a little boy, he met a knight. Very good. Why is Frederick not allowed to do martial arts, wrestle, or explore caves? Go ahead, Jody.
Because he might get hurt and damage.
Yeah, his father's trying to protect him from getting hurt. What does the king do to make Frederick forget about his thirst for all things exciting?
He wants him to train a tiger.
He wants him to train a tiger, but what's the trick about this tiger? He's toothless and he's already trained. All right, turning to next page, 247. More than a decade passed before the thought of adventure found its way back into Frederick's mind. It happened on the night of the big palace ball, at which it was hoped that Frederick would find a bride. He never left the palace, so this type of event was the only way for him to meet girls. Among the dozen of elegant women at the ball that night, there was one girl who caught Frederick's attention immediately. And it wasn't just because she was beautiful and elegantly dressed. No, she had something else, a daredevil gleam in her eyes. He'd seen that look only once before, in that old night all those years ago. Frederick and the mystery girl had the time of their lives dancing together, but at midnight she ran off without a word. "Father, I have to find that girl," insisted Frederick, newly inspired and feeling a bit more like his 7-year-old self again. "Son, you've never been outside the palace gates," the king replied in a foreboding tone. "What if there are tigers out there?" Frederick shrank away. The tiger episode had really done a number on him. What does the author mean when he says the girl has a daredevil gleam in her eyes? She what?
She has a fearless thing in her
She's kind of fearless, yeah. What does it mean for Frederick?
That is perfect for him.
Yeah, where there's fearlessness, there is adventure. And reminded him of the love of adventure that he had.
It kind of sounds like Cinderella.
Kinda. What do the lines in paragraph 6 mean? So if you look at paragraph 6, it says Frederick shrank away. That tiger episode had really done a number on him.
Like, he remembered it.
He remembered it. So what did it do for him?
It kind of scared him.
It reminded him of a traumatic time that whenever he faced the lion before, a tiger before. And it kind of makes him lose courage to go and find this mystery girl. All right, next page. But Frederick didn't give up entirely. He instructed his trusted valet, Reginald, to find the mystery woman for him. It turned out that Ella, that was her name, wasn't a noblewoman at all, just a sooty cleaning girl. But her story, the way she mixed it up with the fairy and used magical means to escape her wicked stepfamily, intrigued Frederick, even if he hoped he'd never have to meet any of her relatives. When he told his father he wanted to marry Ella, the king sputtered in surprise. "I thought I'd fix you, but apparently I didn't," the king scolded. "You don't get it at all, do you? An ill-bred wife would destroy your image more than any scar or broken limb ever would." Up until that point, Frederick had always believed that the king enforced strict rules because he feared for his son's safety. But now he saw that wasn't necessarily the case. So for the first time, Frederick stood up to his father. "You do not rule me," he stated firmly. "Well, technically you do, being as you're the king, but You do not rule my heart. My heart wants Ella. And if you don't bring her here to be with me, I will go to her. I don't care how dangerous it is out there. I would ride a tiger to get to her if I had to. In truth, Frederick was utterly intimidated by the thought of venturing out into the real world. If his father refused to meet his demands, he had no idea if he would be able to follow through on his threat. Luckily for him, the king was shocked enough to give in. And so, Ella came to live at the palace. She and Frederick were officially engaged to marry, and the tale of the magical way in which the couple met became the talk of the kingdom. Within days, the minstrels had a new hit on their hands, and the tale was told and retold across many realms. But while the popular version of the story ended with a happily ever after for the Prince Charming and Cinderella, things didn't go as smoothly for the real Frederick and Ella. Who was this mystery woman, and why was the prince intrigued by her? Who was the mystery woman? Ella. What was she? She was a cleaning girl. She was a sooted cleaning girl. Why was the prince intrigued by her? Yeah, because she escaped. She escaped from her wicked stepfamily. Why did Frederick finally stand up to his father? What? Yeah, he really wanted to be with Ella. What did the king do, and why do you think he made this decision? The king, he was shocked by the threat, so he let Ella move into the palace. So his son did not leave the palace looking for her. Excuse me. All right, page 249. Ironically, it was Ella's bold and venturesome spirit, the very thing that Frederick found so attractive about her, that came between them. Ella's dreadful stepmother had treated her like a prisoner in her own home and forced her to spend nearly every waking hour performing onerous tasks like scrubbing grout or chipping congealed mayonnaise from between the fork tins. While Ella suffered through all that, she dreamed of more exhilarating life. She fantasized about riding camels across the desert to search ancient temples for magic lamps, or scaling cloud-covered peaks to play games of chance with the rulers of hidden mountain kingdoms. She honestly believed that anything could happen in her future. Oh my gosh. When Ella met Frederick at the ball, it was the climax of a day filled with magic and intrigue, and she assumed it was the beginning of a non-stop thrill and moment existence for her. But life with Frederick was not quite what she expected. Frederick tended to sleep in, sometimes until lunch, and he'd often spent over an hour grooming himself to his father's specifications. By the time Ella finally saw him each day, she would be more than ready for some sort of excitement. But Frederick usually suggested a more subdued activity, like picnicking, listening to music, or quietly admiring some art. Don't get me wrong, Ella enjoyed all those things for the first few days. But by the 14th picnic, she began to fear that those same few activities were all she was ever going to do at the palace. Her unchanging routine made her feel uncomfortably like a prisoner again. So one morning, she decided she would speak frankly with Frederick about what she needed. That morning, as usual, Frederick slept late. When he eventually got up, he spent 15 minutes, pretty quick for him, browsing a closet filled with ultra-fancy suits, before finally deciding on a crisp white outfit trimmed with gold braiding and tasseled shoulder pads. The 5 minutes after that were dedicated to straightening his short, light brown hair. Unfortunately, a few stubborn strands refused to stay in place, and so the prince did what he did whenever he got frustrated. Reginald! Within seconds, a tall, slender man with a thin, pointy mustache popped into the prince's bedroom. "Yes, milord?" he asked in a voice stiff enough to match his rigid posture. 251. Jordan, you need to sit up, buddy. Everybody needs to make sure they're sitting up. Make sure they have the reading book out. "Good morning, Reginald," Frederick said. "Can you fix my hair?" "Certainly, my lord," Reginald said as he grabbed a silver brush and began using it to tidy the prince's bedhead. "Thank you, Reginald," Frederick said. "I'm off to see Ella, and I want to look my best." "Of course, my lord." "I think I'm going to have cook surprise her with breakfast in bed." Reginald paused. "I'm reasonably sure, my lord, that the young lady has already eaten breakfast." "Drat," muttered the prince. So it happened again. "How long ago did she wake up?" "About 3 hours ago," Reginald replied. 3 hours? "But I asked you to wake me when Ella got up." "I'm sorry, my lord," Reginald said sympathetically. "You know, I'd love to help you, but we're under strict orders from the king. Your beauty sleep is not to be disturbed." What is Reginald's relationship to Frederick? Is what? Yeah. Maybe he's his servant. He takes care of him. What does this tell you about Frederick?
He's lazy.
He's lazy. What kind of lifestyle does he have? A very pampered lifestyle. He gets cooked for. People will do his dressing and stuff for him. All right, let's look at page 252. Jordan, where's your reading book at, buddy? Frederick burst from his seat, waving away Reginald's brush. "My father ordered you not to wake me? He's still trying to keep me and Ella apart?" He rushed to the door of his bedroom. then quickly back to the mirror of one last check of his hair, and then out and down the hall to look for his fiancée. Ella wasn't in her room, so Frederick headed to the garden. He paused briefly to sniff a rosebud. When he heard the sound of approaching hoofbeats, he looked over his shoulder to see that a large white horse was bearing down on him, tearing through the garden at a fast gallop, leaping over one hedgerow after another. The prince tried to run, but the golden tassels of his jacket caught on the shrub thorns. Frederick tugged frantically at his stuck sleeve as the horse rider pulled up on the reins and brought the steed to a halt. From the saddle, Ella looked down at him and laughed. She wore a distinctly unfancy blue dress, and her tied back hair was disheveled from the ride. Her strong, athletic build and warm, healthy glow were a stark contrast to Frederick's slender frame and sun-deprived complexion. "I hope you haven't been stuck there all morning," she said, only half joking. Page 254. "No, this just happened," Frederick said, relieved. "I don't suppose you could possibly hop down and lend me a hand." Ella slid off the saddle, patted her horse's nose, and crouched down to help free the prince's jacket from the thorn. "I told you those tassels would get you into trouble someday," she said. "But they're what all the most fashionable noblemen are wearing these days," Frederick said brightly. He brushed himself off and struck a chest out, hands on hips, posed to show off his outfit. He hammered it up to get a laugh out of Ella. It worked. "Very nice," Ella said with a chuckle. "I'd love to see you up on a horse sometime," she hinted, petting her mare's pink nose. "Yes, I'm sure I'd look positively heroic up there," Frederick said. "It's a shame I'm allergic to horsehair." He wasn't allergic. He was afraid of falling off. "A terrible shame," Ella sighed. "I didn't realize you knew how to ride," Frederick said, "considering the way your stepmother kept you under lock and key. I wouldn't have thought you had much time for equestrian lessons." "I didn't," Ella said. "Charles, your head groom, has been teaching me these past few weeks. I usually practice in the morning while you sleep." Frederick changed the subject. "So, have you heard the song that Pennyfeathers wrote about you? That bard of ours certainly has a way with a quill." "The song is very popular, I hear. Supposedly the minstrels are singing it as far as Silveria and Strumhagen. Because you know it, you'll be more famous than me, or even more famous than Pennyfeather. Though I don't really like the fact that he called you Cinderella. Makes you sound dirty and unkept." Says, what does it mean when Frederick tells Ella that her stepmother kept her under lock and key? Right, he wasn't allowed to be out. She had to stay in. She had to do the work. She lived a very sheltered life, was not able to do things like learn how to ride a horse. Her stepmother controlled her life by not giving her freedoms to going out and trying new things. Oh, excuse me.
Feels like a maid to them.
What?
Feels like a maid to them.
Yeah, she couldn't do anything. Thanks, Jameson. How does Ella learn how to ride a horse?
His groom teaches her every morning while he's sleeping.
She takes lessons from the head groomer, Charles. What does Frederick dislike about the song Pennyfeather wrote about Ella? Go ahead, Nathan. That he doesn't like that they called her Cinderella, because Cinderella, to him, makes her sound dirty and unkept. All right, next page, page 255. Also, she only cleaned. Yeah. Good job, Jameson. Says, I don't mind, said Ella. I was dirty and unkept for years. I was always covered in soot and cinders from cleaning the fireplace. So at least I see where he got the name from. Speaking of names, said Frederick, have you noticed the song refers to me as Prince Charming? My real name's not in there at all. People are going to think I'm the same prince from that Sleeping Beauty song or the Rapunzel one. Here, listen and tell me what you think. He called out to a passing servant, excuse me, my good man. Could you please fetch Pennyfeather, the that word does not want to come out of me. Mellifluous? We're just gonna tell him that the prince and Lady Ella would like a command performance of the tale of Cinderella. I'm sorry, my lord, the servant replied. Mr. Pennyfeather is unavailable. He hasn't been seen for days, actually. It's the talk of the palace. We assumed you would have heard by now. No one knows where the royal bard is. Well, that explains why I haven't been getting my lullaby these past few nights, Frederick said thoughtfully. What? All right, page 256. Frederick, maybe something awful has happened to Pennyfeather, Ella said, sounding a bit too excited by the prospect. We should check into it. Come on, let's go. We need to figure out the last person to see him. Let's start by asking at the gate. Oh, I'm sure it's nothing so dramatic, Frederick said quickly. The only thing he had a harder time imagining than a crime occurring within the royal palace was himself investigating such a crime. He's probably just off at a bard convention somewhere, one of those gatherings where they vote on the precise number of feathers a minstrel should have in his cap. That sort of thing. But don't worry, just because Pennyfeather himself isn't here doesn't mean we can't have music. I'll just send for... Never mind the song, Frederick, Ella said, taking a deep breath. Remember how we were just talking about my sheltered childhood? Frederick nodded. Now that I'm free, I want to have new experiences. I want to find out what I'm capable of. So if we're not going to look into Pennyfeather's disappearance, what can we do today? She asked. What kind of adventure can we have? Adventure? Right. Frederick pondered for his option briefly. It's a lovely day, nice and sunny. I'm thinking picnic. Ella slumped. Frederick, I need to do something different. Frederick stared at her like a lost baby rabbit. I hear there's a trouble of traveling acrobats in town, Ella suggested. Maybe we could get them in here to teach us some tumbling. Oh, but I've got that problem with my ankle. He had no problem with his ankle. How about a treasure hunt? Ella proposed excitedly. Some of the kitchen staff were gossiping about a bag of stolen gold that one of your father's old valet hid in the tunnels below the castle. We could try to find it. Oh, but I can't go below ground level, you know? What dampness does to my sinuses? Dampness did nothing to his sinuses. Can we go boating on the lake? I can't swim. This is true. Ella huffed. Frederick, what can we do? I'm sorry if this sounds rude, but I'm bored. We could have a different kind of picnic, Frederick offered. Hopefully, we could do breakfast food for lunch. Croissants, poached eggs. How's that for shaking things up? Ella walked back to her horse and hopped up in the saddle. Go ahead and order your picnic, Frederick, she said flatly. I'm going to ride a bit more while you wait. Okay, Frederick said, and waved to her. I'll stay right here. I'm sure you will. You're very good at that, Ella replied, and she rode off. An hour or so later, Frederick sat out on the palace lawn. Well, on a carefully unfolded blanket, actually. He didn't want to get grass stains on his white pants. Waiting for his lunch and his fiancée to arrive. A servant arrived and set down a tray of breakfast delicacies in front of Frederick. My lord, the man said as he bowed and backed away, there's a message there for you. Frederick saw a folded piece of paper nestled between a bowl of grapefruit slices and a plate of chocolate chip waffles. He picked up the note with a sudden sinking feeling about what it might say. What do you think is going to be on the paper?
That she left him.
I don't know if she left him, but what does she go to do?
Find something.
I think she's gonna go on an adventure instead of coming for a picnic with Frederick. Jordan, did you leave your book at home? Bring it tomorrow, please. All right, we're going to stop right there with the reading. You're going to need to get a piece of paper out. I'm going to write the vocabulary words down again, and you're going to need to define the vocabulary words. Whatever is not finished in this next 20, 30 minutes will be homework. So let me write all the words down. And let me write all the words down. Hold on. Because there are kind of a lot of them. Salt. We'll finish reading tomorrow. What?
Do we have to do box method or can we do it?
You can do regular. You can just define it. Oop. We may do box method later in the week. Rigid, disheveled. Subdued. episode. For voting. Elegant. You see. Fearlessness. Endeavors. Oh, endeavor. No S. Confidence. And aspire. I know. All right. Can I read that?
Yep.
That better? Go ahead and write all the words down so you can have them. Go ahead and write them all down first, and then you can start defining them.
This Piper,
Yeah?
what method are we using? We can do it regular.
Just regular. You can just define them in the back of the book. You don't have to do box method. For now. Jordan, go ahead and write them down. And then you can define them this evening, I guess.